19 races into the season, and only one race remains until the chase begins next week at the Nashville Super Speedway. And the big question is, who will it be going for the Wawa Cup Series Championship? There are still 2 spots mathematically up for grabs in this Wawa Cup Series chase. Technically 4 if you count the wild card spots as well. Who knows how that'll end up shaking out? Who knows how it'll all end up shaking out? We do know that Thomas Troxell is the regular season champion, but beyond that, everything is up for grabs, and we'll determine the 12 drivers going for the Wawa Cup Series chase here today at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It's the Rays, Dies, and Tubing 300 here at the Magic Mile. It's 75 laps around this 1.05 mile speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire. Hello everybody, this is AG here, and welcome to the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the 20th and final race of the regular season in the 2024 Wawa Cup Series. And this race last year played a pivotal part in the championship. Drew Webb was a dominant driver in the race, and he ran out of fuel at the end. Who knows how it's going to play out here today, especially after what happened last week at Iowa. We had a late race caution during a cycle of pit stops, and then we had our race leaders split at different times. It gave Drew Webb his first win of the season, which also gave Drew Webb a lock onto the chase. Now, it's going to be interesting to see who ends up getting those last 2 spots, and we'll go over the points here in just a moment, but we know for a fact that Thomas Troxell has already clinched the regular season championship. He's going to be first place no matter what, and he's going to have the most points going into the chase in terms of the bonus points. And all these other positions, it's going to be very interesting. And it's also very important where you finish in terms of those top 10, because you get more points the higher up you are. Of course, Troxell's going to get the 15 for winning the regular season title. Also 3 more points for his Talladega win. He could get 3 more if he wins here today. Then 9 points for second, 8 points for third, and so on, and 3 more bonus points for each wins. And, of course, the wildcard drivers, they don't get any bonus points. They start with 2,000 even going into the chase. But doing it alongside Agar Barretto and Nathan Stablin for the call of this race. And, Agar, you were in the booth for this race last year when Drew Webb was very dominant but ran out of fuel. We have a bigger fuel cell here this year, about a 42 lap fuel run here today. So with that in mind, it's probably going to play out like a pretty normal race. What do these guys need to do, especially those who were on the bubble, to get a good run and lock their spot into the Wawa Cup Series chase?
Well, you just have to be consistent throughout the whole race. New Hampshire, it's not an ordinary track like those cookie cutters we normally see. So it's mostly staying consistent, knowing your lines, being fast through them, and also saving tires. Since New Hampshire is a flat track, tire wear will be an important factor in today's race. So these are the 2 main factors, in my opinion, for the drivers to be quick and get up to the front at this race.
And Nathan, it's definitely going to be interesting. Of course, you really don't have much of a stake in the game here, unfortunately, as both Crampton and Miller have had relatively tough seasons. But how do you think it's going to play out for the rest of these guys? And, that wildcard race is very interesting. If Travis Crampton wins this race, and a lot of the guys ahead of him have poor runs, he could slot into that second spot. But he also got Kirsten Bell and Daniel Paulus Jr. hanging on to those last 2 spots in the wildcard right now. How do you think it's going to play out for those guys who are outside the bubble, needing a win to make it onto the chase?
Well, I think it's definitely safe to say that the wild card battle is going to be more interesting than the final spot or 2 of the top 10 in points. Not as many guys have a stake in that, but there's a lot of what-if scenarios here. Like, what if Drew Webb somehow falls out of the top 10, then he could be in for the wild card, same as Troy Ball, Ladovit Chouette, Shaq Haas. All of them could be bound for the wild card spot if they fall outside of the top 10. But if Daniel Paulus Jr. somehow makes it into the top 10, that really shakes things up even more. Bell's basically good no matter what with those 2 wins. But then you also have Angel Gutierrez and Luke Williams that could have a say in it. And then if something crazy happens with Ina Brian Perez, Matthew Hubert, Laura Chung, Egan Mike, Guado Crampton, if they get a good one, win the race, and then are able to point themselves into the wildcard battle, we have so many scenarios for the wildcard. It's going to be very exciting here to see if it gets the last couple of spots in the Wawa Cup Series chase. A lot of unknowns here today.
It's going to be very fascinating, and it's going to be a little difficult trying to figure it out. We'll do our best, of course, and we're going to show you this graphic here because this is the best way we can really show it. Last time you'll see the chase points picture here. One race until the cutoff, and that is this race right here. Obviously, you see Thomas Troxel 104 points ahead of the cutoff, and he is also 48 points ahead of Rogaldorn, who is second in the championship standings, which means that Thomas Troxel has clinched the regular season title. Rogaldorn's got 56 ahead. Blaine Keys, who starts on the pole here today, is 51 points ahead, and Nicholas Samedeo 50 points ahead, have all clinched spots into the Wawa Cup Series chase. Drew Webb is 42 points ahead. He has actually clinched a spot as well, not mathematically in the top 10, but he does have that win to fall back on, and the lowest he can fall back in points, I do believe, is the 12th position, which guarantees him a spot. Same can be said for Trey Bartow and Ludovic Charette as well, as they are both 35 points ahead. Jack Haase starts third here in this one, 26 points ahead of the cutoff. Matt Tuck's an interesting one. He starts deep in the field. Well, maybe not too deep in the field, around the 17th position right there for the driver, the number 54. He's 19 points ahead, and this right here, this may be the most fascinating battle of the day, especially if someone like Blaine Keys, Rogaldorn, Jack Haase, Ludovic Charette win this race here. You have Braden Perez starting 9 positions ahead of his teammate Brian Webb here today. And guess what? They're separated by 9 points for that last cutoff spot. 10th in the points. Going to be interesting to see if Braden Perez, who won this race a year ago, can jump his teammate for that 10th spot in the chase and have a shot at the Wawa Cup Series title. Then you got Daniel Paulus Jr., Matthew Hubert, and Kirsten Bell, who all also have a mathematical chance of making it into the chase in the top 10 on points alone. Paulus and Bell currently hold on to the 2 wildcard spots with their race victories from earlier in the season. 29, 30, and 30 respectively for those drivers, and then Laura Chung on down. They need to win in order to have any opportunities. They are all too far behind to mathematically make it in to the top 10. And then you see the wildcard, and that's going to be the big one here today. All those guys listed could theoretically and mathematically fall behind into the wildcard spot, which is a big factor. If someone like Jack Haase, Ludovic Charette falls behind the cutoff line, that pushes one of those other wildcard drivers out. Right now, it's Daniel Paulus Jr. and Kirsten Bell who have those 2 wildcard spots, 25 and 24 points ahead, respectively. It's really going to take a lot for someone like Drew Webb, Bartow, Charette, or Haase to fall outside and into that wildcard, but it's going to be interesting to see how it ends up shaking out. If something like that happens, if one of them wrecks here today, it's very possible mechanical failures also occur at this racetrack. You just don't know what's going to happen. Angel Gutierrez, if no one special wins here today, is definitely the guy to watch out for in terms of Kirsten Bell. Gutierrez starts in the 10th position, 2 spots ahead of Kirsten Bell. Kind of needs Kirsten Bell to wreck out or have an issue in this race. Same with Daniel Paulus Jr., one of those guys, if he's going to have an opportunity to make it in on that wild card. And then Logan Williams, LJ Semeno, it's a long shot for those 2 drivers, but they do still mathematically have a chance. 41 and 43 points behind. Chase Buck and Avery Alford are eliminated. They do not have an opportunity at making it into the Wawa Cup Series chase, even though they have won races this season. It's going to be fascinating. That's all I've got to say. And it's going to be a fascinating race as well with who we've got starting up front. Blaine Keys, Rogaldorn, they were the top 2 drivers there in the Coke 600. This ain't the Coke 600. It's a totally different racetrack here. And both drivers have 2 wins on the season, both looking to become the first driver to win 3 races this year. They make up row at number 1. You got Jack Haase and Ludovic Charette making up row number 2. Travis Crampton, this is a big start for him here. If he wins this race and everyone else has a problem, he could just find himself in there somehow. We'll see if that ends up being the case. I know you'd love to see Crampton get a win, Nathan, alongside Chase Buck there in row number 3. There's Braden Perez. He needs a good run. He needs to finish at least 9 positions ahead of Brian Webb. Not sure how the tiebreaker is going to go because the second tiebreaker is average finishing position. Neither driver has a win this season alongside regular season champion Thomas Troxel. And then Laura Chung, a driver who also could go to victory lane today and really mess things up in that wildcard race. She's alongside Angel Gutierrez to make up the top 10 starting positions. Drew Webb not too far behind there. Brian Webb also in the top 20, same with Sam Medeo and Matt Tuck, Matthew Hubert as well. So a lot of the guys who are up there in the points, starting in that top 20, really Trey Bartow is the only one who is in that top 10, who is starting deep in the field. Daniel Paulus Jr. also starting 22nd. That's necessarily what he wants. It's going to be interesting to see what he ends up doing as this race goes along. We'll follow up all those guys as we get along in this race here today. Let's go ahead and not waste any more of your time. Get the green flag going here in the Raised Dice and Tubing 300. And Igor and then Nathan, I'm going to make it simple. Just race picks here today. Who do you think is going to victory lane in this Raised Dice and Tubing 300?
Well, for me, I think we're going with the guy that's on the brink of the chase battle. He very well could be in the chase this year, and I think he'll be able to do again this race win today. I'm going for last year's winner of this race, Brandon Perez. Definitely starting a good position as well. Pete's having on the inside line, so I think we'll have a good shot of getting this win.
Well, as much as I would love to see my guy Travis Hamilton get the job done, I don't think that's going to be the case here today. I think the regular season champion is going to get win number 2, Thomas Stroll's going to win here today.
Both picks coming from row 4. Hey, we do have a cycle of pit stops in this race. A little bit past halfway, about a 41 to 42 lap fuel run for these guys. So should not run into the same issue we did last year when Drew Webb came down with just a couple laps to go, giving the win to Braden Perez. It's going to be hard to beat Blaine Keys and Rogaldorn, though. They're already starting on the front row. You know they're fast drivers, and they're going to take the green flag in the cutoff race. The regular season ends today. We're green flag racing at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Well, Blaine Keys was like, see ya later, alligator. Which doesn't make any sense. There aren't any alligators in New Hampshire. Regardless of the fact, Ladovic Shred had a good jump there as well. Up to second now in that 51 for Groton Autosport. And Ladovic very much well in the chase, especially with her win at Kansas earlier in the season. So definitely going to be a pretty solid race for her if she can get him to the top 5. Rogaldorn as well, also locked into the chase already. Jack Haas as well. Chase Buck's just going for another win here. And he's up to the 5th position. It is going to take a lot to make these passes here today around this New Hampshire Motor Speedway. You're going to see it, but it's not going to be too frequent when you do see it. And definitely going to get your track position while you can, because it's going to be tough to do so as this race goes along. Drew Webb doing a good job, though, moving his way through the field, about to enter the top 10 as he gets around Bruno Diacomo.
Yeah, definitely a good start by Drew Webb, but especially good for Charette. He started with, in the 4th or 5th position, already up to 2nd, so definitely a great spot for Charette. Probably making some more points, and honestly, probably the watch will be on the guys on the brink of the chase. Mainly, we almost passed over him, Brian Webb, will start back now into the 16th place, and we'll be battling Perez this whole race for that last transfer spot into the top 10.
Perez is currently in the 8th position right now. Brian Webb currently sits in the 16th position. That is 8 spots. And Brian Webb right now has 1 point on his teammate of Braden Perez. Kirsten Bell, she's got to be careful right here not to get caught up in a wreck, because she is in a position where she can make that wild card, especially being ahead of Daniel Paulus Jr. right now, who, by the way, is not having a good run. And the big change could be Gutierrez and Paulus Jr. in that wildcard race, because Paulus slipping back, struggling here right now. 28th for the driver, the number 24. Angel Gutierrez in the 36 machine is much further ahead in that 36. He is currently running in the 11th position, and that is 17 points. Now, granted, it's a 25-point gap between Paulus and Gutierrez, so Paulus still holds on to it ahead of the 36 machine. But Paulus has to be careful not to let either Kirsten Bell's already in one of those spots, but not to let Gutierrez get around him right there. And the nearest guy, we've got Troxel making a move on Jack Haas there. That is for the 4th position. The nearest guy who can really mess things up is Travis Crampton, but even he's a little ways behind in the points from those guys. He's 71 points behind the main cutoff, and Crampton is 41 points behind Kirsten Bell, so it's a massive long shot for Crampton. And essentially, Kirsten Bell has to wreck out in this race in order for Crampton to have any mathematical chance. Yeah, Brad Stover making a move there on Brian Webb. Brian Webb is still in the 16th position right there. Matt Tuck is 15th. That is good enough for him to make it on, especially with Perez and Brian Webb being the 2 guys who are battling out for that last spot. But as long as Matt Tuck finishes top 15 here today, he should be good to go. Sam Badillo trying to make a move there on Gutierrez. That is for the 11th position, and Sam Badillo trying to take it right away from him.
Always seeing that it is difficult to pass, but it's not impossible. Some of these faster drivers and cars like Sam Badillo want to make a move here on Gutierrez, and then the regular season champion for the second year in a row. Thomas Troxel making a move up towards the front. As far as Clampton, it's not been a great season. Color should have been his, but I digress. But you know, you mentioned of how he has a slim shot, and based off of how the season has been, I'll gladly take a slim shot and maybe gamble and get a win here. But overall, if we can just get back-to-back top 10s, that would be great for this 98 team and maybe steal some wins in the chase. But right now, Blaine Keith has it almost at 1 second lead over Ludovic Shred in second, Dorn in third, and now this is gonna be interesting because the field is singling out, and how New Hampshire is hard to pass, and it could be a strategy race here today with how this track is.
And Thomas Troxel, though, may not necessarily need to use strategy in this one. He looks very quick in that 62 machine. Right on the back bumper now, Rogel Dorn. You got Kirsten Bell battling there with Laura Chung. That's an interesting battle for now. And, Brian Webb. Oh boy, he's slipping back down to 21st. That's going to give the position right now to Braden Perez. So Perez is in position to jump his teammate at the moment as Brian Webb is slipping back. And Agar, before we started recording, he brought up a very interesting point. Brian Webb is the only driver, not only in the top 10, in the top 20, who does not have a top 5 finish this year. And a lot of the guys in this field have top 5 finishes, and Brian Webb's yet to do so, and can't imagine that is helping him out at this moment.
Yeah, he definitely has been consistent. He has 6 top 10 so far this season, but clearly this race and probably this second half of the regular season has not been kind to him, and it's probably the reason why he's in this position right now. He definitely still has a shot to make into the chase, but with Perez's position right now and how he's running, definitely not a great chance for Brian Webb as things are running. But still, we still got over like 80% of this race to go, so many things could still happen.
It'll be fascinating to see once we get to that cycle of pit stops how it's going to shake things out, because that's really going to be a big jump as Travis Crampton, my goodness, he almost got into the back there of Chase Buck through the corner. As Sam Medeo is trying to crack the top 10 on Bruno Diacomo right here. That 59 is also looking pretty quick as well here today. Of course, remember, Sam Medeo got the win at North Wilkesboro, and while the tire wear is near significant here, about a second fall off for these guys here today. This is the kind of track that Sam Medeo excels at, I feel like, which is kind of strange because last week at Iowa, he was just nowhere to be seen. Had a pretty rough run in that race as... Speaking of not having a rough run, Thomas Troxel just got around Rogel Dorn. We missed that. And now he's on the back bumper with Ludovic Schret looking to take second away. And you know what? Troxel may actually have a shot at Blaine Keys, who, by the way, just out there minding his business, second ahead, got the win last Saturday at Le Mans, the Body Armor Pro Series. Looking for his 4th win of the year on the channel, his 3rd win in the Wawa Cup Series. And there's a bit of a mystery about where he's going to end up next year. I mean, I'm hoping he stays with Racing Motorsports. Aaron Abel's definitely put a great team around him, and Blaine's doing a great job, but who knows? There's a little bit of a mystery going on right there. There's definitely some gears turning in silly season, which I think we're going to hear some things in the upcoming weeks about some certain teams at the top of the sport. We'll just have to see. But meanwhile... Thomas Troxel, how about the regular season champion trying to cap off the regular season with another race win?
Oh yeah, definitely, and I bet Troxel likes that I picked him. I seem to have the best luck with my race picks here on AG the channel, so definitely making good luck with me picking him up to the 3rd position. Thought I was going to take 2nd away, but not quite. Battle between Haas and Buck for the... a little bit onto the flat part of the racetrack, not gonna work out for Buck, and I'm a stat guy here, and I counted through the points, and of the 36 drivers that's made every start the season, only 6 drivers have not gone in the top 5. 30 out of the 36 have gone in the top 5 this season, and one of them is Brian Webb.
And it doesn't look like he's going to get a top 5 here today either. Now, he has kind of settled down in his position. 21st place right there. I'm sure if something happened to him, he got shuffled out of line or what, but that is not where he needs to be, especially with Braden Perez where he is right now. Now, granted, hey, look at this. I'm sure Drew Webb's thinking about what happened last year. Now, granted, it wasn't Braden Perez's fault. Braden Perez just happened to be in line multiple times last year when Drew Webb had issues from the race lead. So even the rivalry... Oh, caution on the racetrack. We have a yellow flag. We have Brady Mardi Gras ran on the front stretch. And that, my friends, changes everything. Blaine Keys will win the race back to the line. We got a battle right here for position. And Jack Haas barely gets it on Chase Buck. So Mardi Gras going around. He was one of those guys that if he got a race win, could have made it interesting. But same situation, same identical situation, I should say, with Travis Crampton, as they were tied in points coming into this race. So was Logan Williams. They all had 399 points coming into this race. So what do you do? Oh, it looks like...
Oh, no.
Man. Andrew Miller. So your favorite name and one of your cars, Nathan. I'll just tell you what, you just can't catch a break this season. That's a shame. That is a shame.
That close 97, tell you what.
Alright, everyone's coming down, which does make sense. Even though tire wear isn't too significant around this place, you still want to get some fresh tires, because every advantage matters on a place like this. Not quite the situation we had last week at Iowa. It's similar. It's similar, though, where that last cycle is going to be near the end of the race. Now, only difference is it's a lot easier to come on and off this pit lane. They can do a full green flag cycle without the high likelihood of what happened last week. Let's just put it that way. Looks like it's going to be 4 tires for all these drivers right here, including Blaine Keys, who's got that first pit stall. Ladovic Charette was second, came in right behind Keys. And Ladovic's going to try to get out ahead of this 41. Not quite. Troxel next in line. Rogeldorm. Travis Crampton. Braden Perez going to jump Jack Haas right there. That's good for him. And one guy who's also got a good jump there was Matt Tuck. He found his way into the top 10. Great job for Matt Tuck trying to get himself in that top 10 right now. Gutierrez slipped back a little bit there. And Brian Webb in the 13. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. There's a big problem on Brian Webb.
Oh,
massive issue.
Brother.
That's Matt Black and the 31 machine of Duncan Ward, the hot seat drivers who are essentially stuck behind him right here. And Brian Webb's day, I do feel like might be over because he clearly has some sort of internal... Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Wow.
He has more of an internal issue. That thing's just exploded.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's Chase Hope's over.
This is bittersweet for Andrew Williams, and I say that because it's his 2 cars that are right around that cutoff. Perez is having a good run now. Perez better hope that he doesn't have a problem, because if that ends up being the case, you have Matthew Hubert, right in the top 15 right there. He came in 30 points behind. He could definitely make things interesting. I feel bad for Duncan Ward right here, who just kind of parked himself behind that 13. You can drive around him, which he will, in fact, wave himself around right here.
No hitting anyone?
Yeah, I'm making sure. This is your car, Igor. You better not hit anyone. All right, let's go ahead and see what happens. Bring out the first caution of the day here in the raised dives in Tubing 300. Brady Mardi Gras and Andrew Miller getting into it on the front stretch here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Well, Brady Mardi Gras on the 47 just got a little too loose off the exit. Got in the Trey Bartow. Bartow saves it in the 4, and it's Andrew Miller in the 97 who is in the line of fire right there, and Brady Mardi Gras into the inside wall. That's going to knock Miller out, but it's not going to knock the 47 of Brady Mardi Gras out of the race, thankfully, as he will be able to continue minimal damage. Maybe not minimal damage, but he's still out there in the 47, but Miller is going to be out of the race. See the smoke trail in that 97. Man, Nathan, I know you hate to see it. That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, especially here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Well, clearly Trey Bartow went a little bit wide, got into Mardi Gras, and then both Mardi Gras and Miller, who was just an unfortunate victim right there, both to the wall. Sadly, Miller won't continue. Mardi Gras still continue with some damage. He'll probably be the slowest car on track until the end, but still, Still got a whole race to go. Blaine Key's leading. And honestly, we just got to wait and see of how much this caution will impact the race.
It'll be interesting to see how it ends up shaking out. We'll see if anyone can get to Blaine Keys on the restart. Ludovic Charette able to hold on to second right there. We'll see what she can do. Let's get to that restart here. And the race dies in Tubing 300 at New Hampshire. We're back here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the Chase Cutoff race in the Wawa Cup Series 2024 season. And it's shaping up to be a fascinating one. Got that caution there. Brian Webb has blown up. So all Braden Perez needs to do is essentially finish this race top 20. And he's got that chase spot, that 10th chase spot, which is such a shame for Brian Webb. He held it in the top 10 pretty much the entire season. And a huge mechanical issue there for Brian Webb. Only he and Andrew Miller out of the race. Everybody else still on the lead lap, including Brady Mardigras, who was caught up in that accident. It's Blaine Keys, Ludovic Charette, Thomas Troxel, Rogel Travis Crampton in the top 5. Here we go, back underway with 52 laps to go, and the race dies in Tubing 300 at New Hampshire, and another good jump out of Blaine Keys.
Yeah, Keys definitely got that restart procedure set up, prepare. So definitely got another great jump, and honestly, we just got to wait and see what he'll do in the second stint. Troxel also coming for the attack really early, but couldn't pass Charette there, but still got over 50 laps to go, still a long race.
Braden Perez getting swarmed a little bit right here. Jack Haas got around him. Drew Webb looking to the inside of him right there. And this is the closest Ludovic's been to Blaine Keys all day long. She might have a shot at this 41 machine. And then you got Rogel looking to get around Thomas Troxel, and he's going to take a shot right there for third, but that is such a tough place to make a move. That apron is, I mean, it's not the apron, it's still the racing surface, but not a lot of grip down there, but he got it. He got it to stick there through the center of the corner, and trying to make a move there on Troxel for third. He looks to make it work there, and he's got it. He's got it right there. Takes a while for a pass to be made here in New Hampshire, but they can definitely do it, and especially with these ratings. These guys have different aspects going on behind the scenes, and that's definitely helping them out. Matt Tuck slipping back just a little bit, 14th right now, and all he needs to do is just finish this race. Top 20, he should be good to go, especially with Brian Webb having his issue. Let's see, in terms of the wild card, Daniel Paulus Jr., that's not a position you want to be in, right in the middle of all that right there. Kirsten Bell is 17th right now, which also isn't a good position for her because, I mean, granted, she still should be good to go, but, you know, she's fortunate that Brian Webb didn't have a win this season, because if that were the case, that really would have made things interesting. Top 3 have kind of split off a little bit from the rest of the pack right there. Blaine Key still holding on. He's led every lap so far in this race. With Ludovic Charette, Rogel right behind him. This 51 might have a shot at this race lead, though, the way things are looking.
I think right now, the top 3, top 4 might be the fastest cars on track at the moment, especially the top 3. Don't know what happened to Troxel here on this one. I don't know if they made the wrong adjustment on pit road, but he's now falling back from the top 3. And then, I by the side for second, Dorn to the inside of Short. I think Dorn might have done some good adjustments and might have something for the poster, and the front row might go 1-2 here at New Hampshire.
Rogel looking very strong. Drew Webb still trying to get around Braden Perez right here. Nicholas Samadio and Matt Tuck have fallen back a little bit from this restart. Gutierrez 15th right now for him, and Daniel Paulus Jr. is 27th. That's still not enough, so it's still Kirsten Bell and Daniel Paulus Jr. in the wild card spots right now. And really, Gutierrez is the only other one who really has any chance at getting past either of them, so we'll have to see. Obviously, we've seen a mechanical issue already today. We've seen a wreck happen today, so anything's possible for these guys, and you know, Kirsten Bell's got to be careful. Gutierrez has to be careful. Paulus has to be careful not to get caught up in something that might take him out. And even Braden Perez has to be careful as well. Because, you know, even though he's holding on to this position, if he ends up wrecking, he ends up having a mechanical issue. Matthew Hubert is running strong enough to surpass him and surpass Brian Webb in the point standings. And Hubert just outside the top 10 and 11th. Hubert knows he has an opportunity if something happens at that 23 here today. So going to be interesting to see if that ends up being the case. Meanwhile, up front, Rogel all over the back bumper of Blaine Keys. Both of these drivers going for their 3rd win of the season. Both of them want to get it. And honestly, both of these drivers right here may be 2 of the best drivers. I know Troxel's locked the regular season title, but I think once we get started in this chase, we may see Blaine Keys and Rogaldorn at Victory Link quite a bit over the course of the next 10 weeks, because both of these guys, and they showed it at Charlotte in that Coke 600. We got Nashville, we got Chicagoland, we got Pocono coming up, all speedways. Watch out for them in those races, and they're definitely showing a lot of speed here on the short track, the big short track of New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Yeah, definitely both of them showing a lot of speed today, and honestly...
Oh, another yellow.
Oh, no.
And this time it's a Sprint Series driver. That's Juan Romero in the 00. Down the backstretch. I don't know if he got caught up with the 31 of Duncan Ward or not, but that 00, man, it's not been a good day for Team Williams. One more to complete the trifecta, and it's a driver you do not want getting wrecked out here today.
On the bright side, I think before that caution, they were going to have to pit with about 10 or 15 laps to go. We might be in the window to make it from here.
Yeah, about that. Hey, look, I'm going to say this right now, Igor. I tried, but it looks like they might try to mess with us again in terms of that fuel window. Because they're going to cross the line, 42 laps to go. That's right about the time I expected it to be in testing, so... Oh boy, this could get dicey. They're going to come down again, get fresh tires. We could see strategy here, though. We could see someone take 2 tires, possibly. Try to jump these guys. Blaine Keys looks like he's hard to beat here today. Will Ludovic try something? Will Rogaldorn try something? Will Matt Tuck try something? He's right there. He's got to be careful not to get him to Kirsten Bell ahead of him. So Blaine Keys with that first pit stall. Looks like it's going to be 4 tires for him, 4 tires for most of these guys. Bryce Egan coming down right there. Rogaldorn's off his pit stall right there. Blaine Keys is already done with his. And Blaine Charette. Oh, not a good stop for Rogel. He lost a couple of spots right there. We got 3 wide off the exit of pit lane. Laura Chung, Bruno Diacomo. They got to be getting into each other right there. Drew Webb, Jack Haas back in there as well. Brain Perez slipped back a little bit, and they may have wanted to make sure that that car was all right. You've seen their 2 teammates have the issues that they've had. Matt Tuck was slow in the pit lane. Man, this team and pit lane this year, obviously last week, Ludovic Shrek could have won the race, and they chose to keep her out there an extra lap. And she ended up falling back a little bit. Matt Tuck's going to fall to the back of the field with that one. And he can't risk that one because... I mean, he's thanking his lucky stars that Brian Webb's already out of the race. Because if Brian Webb was not already out of the race, that would be a completely different story. But Hubert and Kirsten Bell also still has a shot at jumping. Actually, they don't have a mathematical chance. They don't have a mathematical chance of jumping Matt Tuck. Do they? Let me see here. It's they do. They do. It's going to take a win from Hubert or Kirsten Bell for that to happen. And I do have faith that Matt Tuck will be able to drive through the field pretty well. Oh boy, that got interesting right there. All right, second caution of the day here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Let's see what happens to bring it out here in the race dies and tubing 300. We may have to call Igor and tell him to shut down the 31 team, because I tell you what, this is the 3rd week in a row that this 31 has caused something. Duncan Ward spinning Juan Romero around in the back of the field, and of all places to get a flip, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, just a bad angle there for Romero, sliding up, and he goes upside down in the 00. I tell you what, last week at Iowa was the 31 that got sent around somebody, forget who it was, that brought out the caution during the cycle of pit stops, and I'm not saying anything's going to happen right here, but that fuel window is going to be interesting right now. Could definitely open the door for things to get goofy at the end of this race. But my goodness, tough break for Juan Romero, who's leading in the Sprint Series title right now. Not much going for him here, and a tough day for Team Williams. Hopefully nothing happens to Braden Perez. Be ashamed if something happened to Braden Perez. But 00 is going to hold on to absolutely nothing because he's out of the race here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Here we go, fully wide once again, and a little bit of contact between the 18 and the 00, and then the Duncan Wood turns the 00 and a weird angle into the men's sidewall for Juan Romero, and of all the places to have a flip, for all of the short tracks, especially New Hampshire, to have a flip is kind of odd, but tough to wait for 2 sprint series draws right there. Hopefully they don't have to settle that out in the sprint series, but that's some out. But like I said, this could be very interesting on fuel. Can they make it? Can they not make it? We just have to wait and see what happens on the restart here at the match mile.
It's going to be interesting. Rogaldor did not have a good stop, which means Ludovic Charette is second again, but it's still, of course, Blaine Keys leading this field. Let's see what he does on the restart. Here in the raised eyes and tubing 300 from New Hampshire. We're back here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, ready to conduct our second restart of the day here at the Magic Mile. It has been a very fascinating race so far, at least in terms of the wild card and the points battling. But Blaine Keys has led every lap in this race so far, and I felt like his biggest rival was definitely going to be Rogaldor there. Rogel had a rough stop there, down the 5th. Matthew Hubert's up to 6th, and that's huge because Brain Perez has to be careful not to let that 0 get too far out ahead. Granted, too, it's a 21-point gap between the two drivers. But right now, they are separated by about 7 positions, so that's a third of it right there. It's going to be interesting. Matt Tuck with his issues at the back of the field. We'll have to see how well he can work his way through, but he still has enough of a point buffer because of Brian Webb DNFing from this race from a header issue. He will finish 39th, so Webb is essentially out of the chase. It's either going to be Perez. It's between Perez, Tuck, and Hubert, essentially, and going to be interesting if Hubert ends up finding a way to victory lane in this race. Anyways, so many interesting factors. We got a race to hand out as well. Ludovic Charette wants it. Trying to get to Blaine Keys once again. That 41 is just so strong. And how about Travis Crampton up the 3rd? You know, things are crazy enough, but Kirsten Bell also with a good shot here. To the inside of Drew Webb. She's finding her way up front. She's top 10 right now. You also got Chase Buck, Jack Haas. They got to be careful not to get into each other off the exit there. Logan Williams, moment of all time. To the inside of Leonard Kochmer, who won at Pikes Peak on Wednesday. Congratulations to him once again. Running pretty strong here in the top 20 with that Bratton Autosport machine. And here comes Rogaldor, and back to the inside of Thomas Troxel. Laura Chung is also up here trying to get a race win. If she gets this race win, oh boy, that's where things get really crazy, because she'll jump Kirsten Bell, I feel. She might not. She might not, but she might jump Daniel Paulus Jr., and that could really get interesting. But they got to beat Blaine Keys, and so far no one has been able to do that here today at New Hampshire.
Yeah, definitely Blaine Keys was the best car of the race so far. And honestly, right now, he still looks unbeatable, but still, we still got 35 laps to go. We still might have more cautions. And that's one point I want to bring up when you talked about strategy, Alex. That, yeah, we still got, they pitted with 42 to go, but we still had 2 cautions on that first half of the race. So they still might make some more crashes, cause some more cautions, and then everything will be fine. But if it doesn't, well, then we're going to have a crazy end with similarities to last year.
Yeah, I don't really want to repeat it last year, but it would be a very natural occurrence if that ended up happening. That caution coming out when it did was this not so perfect time. Laura Chung battling with Rogaldor right here. You know, she's had a great season there with Dracoan Racing Enterprises. This was the ride Blaine Keys drove last year as well, so you know there's some strength in it. And Laura's trying. You know, she knows if she wins this race, she has an opportunity, and a very good one at that, in making the chase on the wild card, especially with Daniel Paulus Jr. just kind of existing today. He's up to 23rd, and the points differential between those two drivers is 22 points. So it'll be tight. It'll be tight if Laura Chung wins. But that's a big if, because Blaine Keys just keeps on pulling away each and every restart. And the fact we haven't had a green flag cycle, I think, is also helping in his favor as well here today. Ludovic there in second. Thomas Troxel, I mean, Laura Chung doing all she can. She's using every inch of this racetrack trying to get these runs, and she's to the inside of Thomas Troxel right now there for the 4th position. And what a dive bomb into the corner that was. You know she wants it. You know she wants it, and she wants it bad. And she wants to get around these guys and try to hunt down that 41 machine.
You know, tell you what, I like Crampton being up here in 3rd without pit crew, but I think he might be holding these guys up, because Troxel really tried to get around that 98 and couldn't. Now Lord Chung's trying to get past this 98, but how about some of these new faces up front after some of these weird pit stops with these cautions? Like Lord Chung, Matthew Huber is up here, Kristen Bell is up here. A couple of new faces that could spoil the party and the wild card picture here, and this could really spoil things if Lord Chung can pass Crampton, go after Lodovic Short, pass Lodovic, and then go for the ultimate chase to Blaine Keys. Chung gets past Crampton, and now that might open up the door for everyone else. Still a good one for Crampton for NS Racing, the only NS Racing car left, but definitely going to be interesting with 30 laps to go. Keys is looking good, but we might have to watch out for this 55.
That 55 is quick. Just got around Crampton and Troxel like it was nobody's business right there. That was some strong driving right there. Power moves out of the 55, but the thing is she's 2 seconds off the race lead. I have to see if she can catch up to Lodovic and then eventually Blaine Keys in the 41, who is clear and ahead, the best driver in this race right now. I would like to focus on Matt Tuck. That 54 machine, oh, and he's flying. He's flying. Well, is he flying? Yeah, he's not necessarily flying as much as I thought he was, but he is now up to 28, so he's still managing the issue he had on pit lane. I'm not entirely sure what the issue was, why he was on the pit lane for an extended amount of time, but the car is still fine. He's still running quick out there, trying to get around these guys as fast as he can to close in. And Daniel Paulus Jr. may just barely hang on to a chase spot the way things are working right now. He does not want Laura Chung to win this race, however. Gutierrez is just not far up ahead enough to get to Paulus, and Kirsten Bell is having a great run here today. Laura Chung's closing in. This 55's got some speed, and we'll have to see if she can get around the 51 here because, you know what? I feel like that might be the fastest car on the track right now.
Yeah, Laura definitely with a strong car, and honestly, I probably we didn't talk enough about her this season, and honestly, by how much her performance is better compared to last season. Like last season, practically we didn't talk about her. She was mostly at the back, but now this season, she's now looking with a big shot of getting her first win, I believe, on the World Cup Series, and also get into the chase, which honestly probably most people didn't expect until some time ago, until today's race even.
This is going to be very, very fascinating if she gets around Charette right here, because if that's the case, I feel like she's closing in as well on Blaine Keys while trying to get around this 51 machine. She could have a very good opportunity and maybe winning this race. Matthew Hubert as well, you got to give him a bunch of credit as well. And, you know, Perez is still hanging close enough, but he cannot risk a mechanical issue or anything of the sort. With Matt Tuck rebounding the way he is up to 26, Hubert's not going to get around Matt Tuck. Braden Perez, here we go. Laura Chung's got it on Lodovic Charette to the inside for the second position. Troxel's kept up with the 55 during this run as well, and he is going to try to get around Charette for third. They're still side by side for second. I think Laura Chung's going to get it right here on the 51. Trying to hug that apron, trying to get that inside lane. They'll work to her advantage. She's got it right here. And Laura Chung up to second. One car left for the race lead. Will she get to Blaine Keys? She's got plenty of time to do so. Does she have the speed to make it up here in these last 20 or so laps?
I think this 55 might be a contender for this race win. I think, like we said all day, I think the fastest cars here at New Hampshire are up towards the front. The Florida Chung, Blaine Keys, Lodovic Shred, and Tom Troxel. But how about this? Matthew Hubert out of nowhere inside the top 5 for what racing. Great one for this number 0 machine. Blitz had a rough season in the JBL Cup Series, but definitely not the case here in the Wawa Cup Series, one inside the top 5 with a small chance to make it into the chase. Needs a lot of help, but this is one step up doing it, and right now I think it's still going to be Brian Perez, but it's going to be tight.
Yeah, Perez really is still in the position ahead of Matthew Hubert. Obviously we know Brian Webb, his chances are essentially done after having his header issue and heading to the garage. He'll finish 39th here today. And that just opened the door right up for Brain Perez to slip right into that 10th spot. Meanwhile, Matt Tuck in the 54 has kind of stalled out. Still there in the, well, now 25th position for Matt Tuck. But still, he had enough of a buffer, and with Ryan Webb falling out the way he did, Perez is not going to be able to surpass. And even Perez does surpass Matt Tuck in the standings, which actually is possible. They're not in that position right now. Matt Tuck would still hold on to 10th. It's Matthew Hubert that he's got to worry about. And Daniel Paulus Jr. Still ahead of those guys, trying to close in and trying to hold on to that last wild card. Going to be very fascinating to see if he can move up at all, if Laura Chung wins this race, if Daniel Paulus Jr. has enough, because it's not a guarantee for Laura Chung to make it into the chase. If she wins, Sam and Oskin just blew up. Matt Tuck's got some contact. He held it together. I don't know if he's not going to get around. He's not going to get back around. Will this be a yellow flag? That'd be a good opportunity for our race leaders. No yellow yet. Is it going to be close enough?
I think there's going to be a yellow. He's going to stop right there.
And just depends if Blaine Keys triggers it right here. I don't think so. I think they avoided it. We're still green. Wow. That actually would have benefited, that would have benefited Laura Chung tremendously. That would have given her a good opportunity. Close right back up on that back marker of Blaine Keys. Oh boy, I bet Matt Tuck's heart just stopped right there when that happened in front of him. Slight little bit of damage, but managed to avoid major contact right there. He's now up to 23rd, so he's still hanging on. As I was about to say, if Laura Chung happens to win this race, it's not a guarantee that she jumps ahead of Daniel Paulus Jr., because Laura Chung cannot make it into the top 10 in points, so she can't, move her way up into that position. Daniel Paulus Jr., he is 25 points ahead of the cutoff. Let's see here. Laura Chung currently sits 22, behind Daniel Paulus Jr. So, if Daniel Paulus Jr. finishes 20th and Laura Chung wins this race, Laura Chung is going to jump Daniel Paulus Jr. But if Paulus can get up into the top 15 somehow, some way, then he is going to end up barely beating that 55 off. So Paulus has to make some ground up here if that 55 wins. He's currently 22nd right now, about to get passed by Matt Tuck. He's got to get around Fitzwater. He's got to get around Cochran. He's got to get around these guys if he's going to have an opportunity as a safe hold if that 55 happens to win. But Blaine Keys is still holding on to that race lead by a second and a half right now, and Laura Chung's is trying to close in, but I don't know. It's 15 laps to go next time by. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. The big wild card, do they have enough fuel to make it? They came in about 41 laps to go, and oh boy, that's going to get kind of interesting.
Yeah, definitely. We still got around 15 to 16 laps to go, and honestly, right now, the difference between Keys and Chung is staying around that 1.5, 1.6 second gap. So honestly, it's probably not looking good for Chung since she can't close in. But still, we got a tie fuel window right now, so things could change. We might have a repeat of last year, even if we don't want it. It depends a lot on when these guys will retire, so honestly we just gotta wait and see of how much they have in the fuel tank and how good they are saving the fuel, the tires, and then we'll know who will get into the chase, who will win this race, and all other questions that still needs to be answered.
Thomas Chocolates are Ladovich right there for third. 1.32. There are times when Laura Chung clocks in 0.2 a lap, and if she can consistently do that on this 41 machine, she has an opportunity at winning this race. And I feel like she is closing in right here. 55's finding some speed here, maybe trying to save her stuff up, maybe wind in a pass on this 41 machine. This race has been excellent. It's hard to believe that Blaine Keys has led every single lap so far. It does not feel like the kind of race where the same driver has been out front the entire day. And that's the beauty of this chase battle that we've got going on. So many other stories to follow throughout this race that has made this race so much more interesting. than I think what traditionally it would have been. Matt Tuck still back in here, trying to get around Daniel Paulus Jr. for position. Oh boy, and Paulus still hanging tough because Paulus knows he's got to get as many points as he can in case Laura Chung wins this race. And Laura Chung is, she's closing in. She's a bit closer now. Troxel's still a little ways behind right there. Kirsten Bell now up to the 5th position. Look, things are looking good for Kirsten to make it into that wild card. And you got Rogel Doran there in 7th. Braden Perez, Drew Webb, Travis Crampton, the top 10. You know what? Lap traffic's going to get in the way here. Blaine Keys might be getting held up by this 47 getting behind him in the dirty air. And might be allowing that 55 to close in. He pulled away that time.
It's going to be interesting because 1, lap traffic of a damaged brain mine wall, and 2, this is the longest green flag one that we've had all day. So we don't know who has the long one car and who has a longer long one car. We don't know who has the best between of the top 2 of Keys and Laura Chung. It might be Laura Chung, I think, but I don't know, the last couple laps, Chung has lost a little bit. It was 1.15 and now it's back up to 1.3, so I don't know, maybe Keys is just saving his stuff for a couple laps. If there's anyone that can save the car pretty good, is this 41. 2 wins already on the year 20, number 3, and have the most wins out of anyone, but knock on wood, hopefully we don't have fuel mileage at the end here like last year, but right now if these guys can make it, it's looking really good for Blaine Keys to get win number 3.
Daniel Paulus Jr. has got around Zachary Fitzwater for 21st. So looking pretty good for Paulus to get that second wild card, assuming that Laura Chung doesn't win this race. Now, granted, too, it's still not over. I mean, if Laura does win this race with Paulus finishing 21st, Laura's going to get it on that 24. And that's just the huge factor here, but she's losing time once again, the Blaine Keys, and that 41's got a clean racetrack ahead of them, and there's only 7 laps left to go here in this race. The thing for Laura Chung that she's got to hope for is what happened last year, and if that does end up happening to Blaine Keys, where he runs out of fuel near the end, then she ends up getting the win. But then, too, she's also got to think about other guys running out of fuel, and if Daniel Paulus Jr. can make it to the end, will he be close enough to Laura Chung to allow that 24 to stay ahead in the points? That's going to be the big question right there, if that happens. 6 laps to go here in the Race Dyson Tubing 300 for Blaine Keys and the 41 Racing Motorsports. Let's put it this way, they found their driver this year in Blaine Keys, no doubt about it. And Blaine looking to get second in the standings after the regular season. Definitely a driver and a team to watch out for as this chase rolls along. Starting next Saturday at the new Nashville Super Speedway, I should say, with the Cracker Barrel 400. That'll always be a fun race. We're excited to see how it all ends up starting out a week from now. We know Blaine Keys is going to be a part of it regardless of the outcome here today. Laura Chung wants to be a part of that chase. I think at this point something's going to have to happen to Blaine Keys in order for that to happen. Coming to 4 laps to go here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, definitely, like I said, Keys and Chung on this battle to be the quickest. They're maintaining the distance, so probably not much change right there. Now, let me say, Kirsten Bell definitely rose up in the second half of the race, up to 5th place right now, and this big battle with Hubert and Charette. So honestly, still got a lot of race. Still haven't got a lot of the race to go, but hey, 4 to go. This had a good race, and honestly, looks like the chase field is settled, but like we said previously, it's honestly tough to know since we still got the fuel question, if everyone's going to make it, if they're not. So still gotta wait and see if we hopefully don't have a repeat of last year, or we still have.
Gonna be 2 laps to go next time by. You know, I think another factor to point out is that they did run a couple of laps under caution as well after that cycle. In testing that 41. Thomas Troxel. Troxel's out of gas and he's down the pit lane. Drew Webb again. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. There are some guys who didn't have enough. They're coming to the white flag here in New Hampshire. Does Blaine Keys have enough gas to make it to the end?
I don't think it's gonna be everyone, but a few are not gonna make it.
He's gonna keep it in the gas. Laura Chung, yeah, I'm not surprised by that one because she was really pushing it there near the end. So this is gonna shake a few things up. Blaine Keys still out there in the 41 machine. Kirsten Bell is second. Matthew Hubert, Ludovic Charette as well. Who all is staying out right here? Matt Tuck can't make it. This is huge right here because he's coming down the pit lane as well. And who's going to be able to make it to the end of the race? That's the big question. We know Blaine Keys is going to make it. He made this one look easy. His third win of the season. Blaine Keys wins the Raised Eyes and Tubing 300. Who all is going to be able to make it to the end? Kirsten Bell, Matthew Hubert, Ludovic Charette, Rogaldorn, Braden Perez. Drew Webb was a lap down. He had to come down. Crampton, Logan Williams, San Mateo, Diacomo. That is your top 10. Where does Matt Tuck finish? Because Matthew Hubert and Kirsten Bell finished second and third right there. And Matt Tuck was one of those wild card drivers. Not necessarily a wild card driver. He didn't have a win. Oh my goodness.
My.
He's coming around to officially... he officially finished a lap down. And Matt Tuck will finish... Yeah, he finished 27th. He finished 27th. So he is... I do think it's safe to say that Matt Tuck is in fact safe. Because it was 40 points there.
A little bit of a...
oh boy.
Oh, Matt Tuck might have to check his pulse after that one. That's a little bit tight. This race threw
everything at Matt Tuck, and and it's a shame for guys like Troxel, Drew Webb, but it ultimately did not affect it. That's just the way that was a natural thing that happened. But Blaine Keys gets it done here. Blaine Keys definitely got to watch out for once this chase begins next week at the Nashville Superspeedway. Kirsten Bell, Matthew Hubert, Ludovic Charette, and the Rogaldorn, the top 5. And we're going to go ahead, export this out for you right now. We're going to see how it shakes out. But what a race, guys. And how do you make sense of the fact that we keep on having this fuel? And this was a natural thing that happened here today. But, man, the fuel just coming into effect right there near the end of this one.
I don't know how it's playing second year in a row that this happens in New Hampshire. Might be of curse of the track or something like that, because it's pretty weird, let me say that.
Well, I think I know what happened. It's called the Magic Mile for a reason, and 2 fuel mile cases in a row here, not quite as bad, because majority of the field still was able to make it this time, but still very unfortunate for a couple of drivers right there. Gonna shake up maybe a few positions for the wild card, but oh man, it's not over until the checker flag flew, and even then we didn't know for sure. But what a race at the Magic Mile once again.
Well, the good thing for Matt Tuck, he is in, as he finishes 10th in the standings, so he gets in by the skin of his... Well, not really. He got in by 15 points ahead of Kirsten Bell. Kirsten also makes it in on the wild card, and Daniel Paulus Jr. gets it by 20 points ahead of Angel Gutierrez. So really, not much drama at all in terms of who made it in. The same 12 drivers came into this, actually, with the exception of Brian Webb. Braden Perez takes that position for Brian Webb, as you see right there. Blaine Keys finishing 17 points behind Thomas Troxel there. Now, granted, Keys... He's going to get second. He's going to get 9 bonus points on top of... He's actually going to be tied with Troxel, I do believe. Because Troxel only had the 1 win. He's going to be tied with Troxel in the chase standings once that begins at Nashville. So they're going to be on the same footing going into the first race of the chase. That is the 10th top 5 for Blaine Keys, by the way. More than any other driver in the field as he gets the race victory. 10 top 5s in 20 races for Blaine Keys. You got to watch out for Blaine Keys this season. I tell you what. Rogaldorn, Nicholas San Mateo, Ludovic Charette, Drew Webb, Trey Bartow, Jack Haas, Braden Perez, Matt Tuck, Kirsten Bell, and Daniel Paulus Jr., the 12 drivers in the Wawa Cup Series chase for 2024. Not really much of a surprise there, but what a race that kept us on the edge of our seat here tonight at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
It definitely did a fantastic one here at New Hampshire. We didn't know exactly what was going to happen until the end. But like to mention that Blaine Keys, 10 top 5s, those are his 10 top 10s. So it's literally top 5 of bust this season for Blaine Keys. And maybe that's the strategy he needs to do to maybe capture the Wawa Cup Series Championship here in 2024. Just a brief bias shout out to Crampton getting 7th. Not gonna make the chase, honestly, but another top 10. But what a race here in New Hampshire.
And Igor, your boy Drew Webb's in. Of course, defending Wawa Cup Series champion, he made it in. So, I'm going to ask you, since you're the only one that has any stake in this, what are you looking for, Drew Webb, these next 10 races to defend his Wawa Cup Series championship?
It's mostly what he did last year. It's just get to the front, get a few wins here and there, and honestly, just do the best possible to guarantee this title. Since we're going to the chase, the field is going to be bunched up with the adjustments of points, so we'll be almost on an even playing field of the start of these 10 races. So, like I said previously, just get to the front, get as many positions as possible, as many top 5s, top 10s, wins as possible, and honestly, just hope for the best, and hopefully we can win more and more title. But even if we don't, congrats to whoever does it.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I feel like these are 12 of some of the best drivers that we've got. And, oh boy, it's going to be very fascinating to see who gets it done. And, hey, we might do a little chase preview show at some point if I have the time. Because, we got some good stuff here. Of all the drivers in the chase, 10 of them have won races this season. Only 2 of them have yet to go to victory lane. That's Brain Perez and Matt Tuck, who both won last year. So it's gonna be pretty big. And excited to see who gets it done for the 2024 season, because Thomas Troxell's lead is a race now, as everything kind of resets, and you will see the updated point standings. Obviously, you see the points as they were. And you'll see the updated chase point standings coming up here in just a moment. Thank you guys so much for watching here from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And even though Blaine Keys led every single lap in this race, that was a very good way to end the regular season. And thankfully, those pit cycles at the end did not affect who made it in and who didn't. And hopefully these next 10 races are nice and simple and things play out naturally. That's what we want to see. We want to see the best drivers battle it out on the racetrack for these points and for these positions, and it's going to be fun to see who gets the Wawa Cup Series Championship in 10 weeks at Darlington Raceway. Thank you guys so much for watching. On behalf of Igor Bretto and Nathan Stapling, congratulations to Blaine Keys for getting the job done here in the Raised Eyes and Tubing 300. And here are the updated chase standings heading into the chase, beginning next week at the Nashville Super Speedway for the Cracker Barrel 400. Congratulations to Blaine Keys once again. Congratulations to Thomas Troxell once again on his regular season title. But now the race is on for the Wawa Cup Series Championship. Who's going to get it done here in 2024? Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I will see you guys later.